back, our dear students. We wish you hard and a successful start to your studies. Let's now study the support in human. Before studying support in human, let's remember some basic information. Let's remember the structure of human body. Human body consists of systems such as digestive system, respiratory system, nervous system, circulatory system, and each system consists of group of organs such as heart in the circulatory system, and each organ consists of group of tissue such as the heart consists of cardiac muscular tissue. Also, each tissue consists of group of cells. And each cell consists of organelles. Each organelle consists of macromolecule, molecule, and atoms, and that all. That is all. Okay. Now, let's remember that human body consists of a group of tissues, but we will study or remember only the connective tissue, which is related to the support in human. Connective tissue form skeletal tissue or form the skeletal system. Connective tissue are made of somewhat distant cells. Somewhat distant cells emerged in intercellular spaces that may be fairly solid, semi-liquid, semi-solid, fairly solid, such as proper connective tissue such as skin, epidermis, and mesentery. Maybe the intercellular substance, fluid or liquid, such as vascular connective tissue as blood and lymph. The intercellular substance may be solid due to deposition, of calcium. If the calcium is little amount, it form cartilage. If the calcium deposit in a high amount, form bone. So the bone contain high amount of calcium than cartilage. Okay, this is the connective tissue, and this is the cartilage and bone related to support in human. Okay, now let's study the support and skeleton in human. Skeleton in human consists of 206 bones. Skeleton consists of 206 bones in adult man. The newborn contain more than 206 bones. Okay, again, newborn contain more than 206 bones, but as baby grow, some bones fused together to make one bone, and the number of bones in adult man become 206, where each bone of 206 has a shape and a size that are suitable for its function. The bone of skull differ from the bone of my arm, differ from the bone of my leg, differ from pelvic bones or pectoral bones, because each bone of them has its function that makes it differ from another one. Okay. Also, skeletal system in man, you need to understand and study the composition and structure of skeletal system in man. Skeletal system in man consists of, first, skeleton. The skeleton is two types: axial skeleton, main skeleton, can't live without it, and appendicular skeleton, help the living organism, help the human to move. Again, skeleton, two types: axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton, both present in human. But the axial skeleton protects the main active organ, protects the central nervous system. The axial skeleton consists of skull. The axial skeleton consists of skull, which protects the brain, vertebral column, which protects the spinal cord, and thoracic cage, which protects lung and the heart. We cannot live without axial skeleton. Appendicular skeleton, we cannot move without appendicular skeleton, consists of upper limbs and pectoral girdle. Pectoral or shoulder girdle and upper limbs also consists of pelvic girdle and lower limbs. This is the skeleton. When the bone touch another bone or meet another bone form joints, but the friction between bones harm bones, so we need cartilage to protect and cover some parts of bones to protect them during friction. Also, as I said, when the bone meet another bone form joints. Joints are of three types: fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints, and synovial joints. We will study them later. Okay. Fourth, ligaments. Ligaments is structure in the skeletal system connect between two bones. Again, ligaments is a structure formed from connective tissue, as I said, connect between two bones. Tendons is also a structure made of connective tissue for connect between muscle and bone, so we can move. Ligaments and tendons help us to move. This is the skeletal system. Skeleton consists of two types: axial and appendicular skeleton. Skeleton is framework. Framework provide the body with a fixed shape, characterized shape, provide the human body with the support, protect the internal organs as a skull protect the brain, vertebral column protect the spinal cord, and the thoracic ribs protect the heart and lungs. Skeleton consists of two types: axial skeleton. Axial skeleton, it is consists of skull, vertebral column, and rib cage. Before explaining axial and appendicular skeleton, I would like you to remind you with the main parts of the body regions. Body regions consist of head, then trunk, then limbs. Head, trunk or torso. Trunk or torso consists of three regions: chest, abdomen, and pelvis. Again, the human body parts: head and trunk and limbs. Trunk start from chest, then abdomen, then pelvis. It will help you to calculate the number of bones later. Again, skeleton consists of two types: axial skeleton, head and thoracic cage, excellent, and vertebral column. Another type is appendicular skeleton. Appendicular skeleton consists of shoulder or pectoral girdle, which connect between upper limb and axial skeleton. Also, pelvic girdle, which connect between lower limbs and axial skeleton. Okay, this is again axial skeleton consists of a skull, and this is the vertebral column, and this is the ribs or thoracic ribs. Appendicular skeleton consists of pectoral girdle or shoulder girdle, upper limbs, pelvic girdle, and lower limbs. Okay, the total number of bones, don't forget, the total number of bones 206. The total number of bones is 206. Okay, axial skeleton consists of 80 bones. Appendicular skeleton consists of 126 bones, so the sum of them is 206. Now let's study the structure of the skull. The skull consists of 22 bones related to support and 7 accessory bones. So the total number of bones in your head is 29 bones. 22 bones related to support and 7 bones, accessory bones. I will explain it to you now. Okay. This is the skull. Skull has two parts. This one is posterior parts or cerebral parts, and this one is facial or anterior parts. Posterior parts or cerebral parts consist of 8 bones attached firmly to each other attached firmly to each other at their serrated tips. They not fused, they attached firmly at their serrated tips to form a cavity. This cavity encloses the brain to protect it. So the skull or the posterior cerebral parts of the brain or of the skull contain 8 bones attached firmly together, form a cavity to protect the brain inside it. Anterior parts, this is the serrated tips that attach the posterior part or cerebral parts. Now, this is the facial or anterior parts, contain 14 bones, include face bones, 2 movable jaws. This is the facial part of the skull. Facial part of a skull consists of 14 bones, include face bones and 2 jaws. The lower jaw is movable jaw, and the position of sense organs, eyes, nose, ears. Okay. Also, this is the facial parts, anterior parts. This is the posterior parts, contain the brain to protect it. Okay. At the base of cerebral part, there is a foramen magnum. This is the hole called foramen magnum through which the brain inside the skull connected with the spinal cord inside the vertebral column. Okay. Again, the structure of the skull consists of 22 bones, 14 anterior and 8 bones posterior. But there is 7 accessory bones. Number 1 is hyoid bone. Hyoid bone, it is tongue bones located at the top of larynx. This is the green one, okay? This is the hyoid bones. Also, hyoid bone present at the top of larynx, as you see here. Also, there is smallest 3 bones in each middle ear. There are 3 smallest bones called ossicles or auditory ossicles present in each middle ear. Okay, okay. This is the structure of skull. 8 cranial bones. Again, this is the anterior view of skeleton and this is the posterior view of skeleton. Anterior view show the human body from in front of you and the posterior behind you. Okay. This is the axial skeleton, skull, rib or thoracic ribs and the vertebral column. This is the axial skeleton. Appendicular skeleton consists of shoulder girdle or pectoral girdle attached with the upper limbs and pelvic girdle attached with lower limbs. Okay. Also, this is the skull and this is cerebral part which consists of 8 bones and this is frontal part which consists of 14 bones. Now let's study the structure of vertebral column. Vertebral column support the body, protect the spinal cord inside it. Vertical support the body, articulate with ribs. Vertebral column divided into 5 parts. Cervical curvature, and it has 4 curvatures. Cervical curvatures, thoracic curvatures, lumbar curvatures, and sacral curvatures. Okay. Cervical curvatures or cervical regions, it is the neck, consists 7 bones, thoracic consists 12 bones, T1 meaning vertebra number 1 in thoracic. Lumbar curvature consists of 5 vertebra, largest in size. And sacral curvature consists of 5 sacral vertebra, while coccygeal vertebra consists of 4 vertebra. But the sacral vertebra fused together, so calculate 1 bone. Also, the 4 coccygeal vertebra fused together considered 1 bone. Cervical vertebra differ from their shape. Number 1 differ from the shape of number 2, and both of them differ from the shape of 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 vertebra. Okay. So the vertebra of cervical regions are not in the same shape. They differ from each other. Number 1 and 2 differ from the others. Okay. Protect the spinal cord and carry the spinal cord inside it. Okay. Now let's study again the structure of vertebral column. The vertebral column has 4 curvature, as we see in the video. Consists of 5 regions, 5 groups. Number 1 is cervical vertebra, consists of 7 vertebra arranged from number 1 to number 7. C1 equal V1, C meaning cervical vertebra, V1 equal vertebra number 1. So C1 equal V1, C7 equal C7. Cervical vertebra has 3 shapes. Shape number 1 differ from shape number 2, and both differ from the rest of cervical vertebra. Thoracic vertebra, all of them has 1 shape. It is 12 regions. 12 vertebra. It is 12 vertebra. Vertebra of cervical and thoracic regions are articulating with each other, meaning they are not fused. So the cervical vertebra, 7 vertebra, 7 bones. Okay, they are moderate in size, articulating with each other. Thoracic vertebra are 12. Start from number 8 up to number 19. Vertebra number 8 equal thoracic vertebra number 1. Vertebra number 10 equal thoracic vertebra number 3. So when we would like to calculate the number of thoracic vertebra, don't forget to add number 7. So if you would like to calculate the number thoracic vertebra number 10, what is the arrangement in the vertebral column? We say 10 plus 7 equals 17. So thoracic vertebra number 10 equal vertebra number 17 in vertebral column. Also, vertebra number 17 in vertebral column, it is in the midpoint of vertebra. Okay. The third region is the lumbar vertebra. They are 5 vertebra, largest vertebra. Vertebra of cervical, moderate in size. Vertebra of thoracic, larger. Vertebra of lumbar, largest vertebra. So as we move from vertebra number 1 up to vertebra number 24, the size increase gradually. There is direct relation. Again, lumbar vertebra start from number 20, 22, 23, 24, 25. If we would like to know the number of lumbar vertebra number 1 in vertebral column, we add 19. 7 cervical and 12 thoracic, they are 19. Okay? Again, lumbar vertebra, 5 vertebra articulating together, not fused, largest vertebra in size. Okay? Again, cervical vertebra, 7 vertebra, 7 bones. Thoracic vertebra, 12 vertebra, 12 bones. Lumbar vertebra, 5 vertebra, 5 bones. But in sacral vertebra, they are 5 fused vertebra. 5 fused, not articulating, they fused together, so we calculate them 5 vertebra but 1 bone. 5 vertebra but 1 bone, okay? Sacral vertebra located between 2 area of bones of pelvic girdle, present in pelvic region. It present in pelvic regions. Okay, again, sacral vertebra present in pelvic regions. It contain of a proud and flat bone, consists of 5 fused bones. Okay. The last region is coccygeal vertebra. Also, it is one shape, consists of 4 fused bones. So, 4 fused vertebra. So, we calculate them 4 vertebra but 1 bone. Present at the end of vertebral column, they are smallest in size. So, the size of vertebra increase from number 1 to number 24, then it decrease gradually from 25 up to 33. Okay. This is the shape of vertebra. This is the atlas vertebra, the first number 1 of cervical. This is the second one, X, and this is the vertebra of all other cervical regions. Cervical vertebra has 3 shapes. Thoracic vertebra, all one shape. Lumbar vertebra, all one shape. Sacral vertebra and coccygeal vertebra, also one shape. Okay. Let's study again how to calculate the number of vertebra from cervical vertebra number 1 to cervical vertebra number 7. It is the same number in vertebral column, vertebra number 1 to vertebra number 7, and they are 7 bones because they articulating together, not fused. Okay. From vertebra number 8 to vertebra number 19, we start thoracic region, thoracic vertebra. The first thoracic vertebra equal vertebra number 8 in vertebral column. The second thoracic vertebra equal vertebra number 9 in vertebral column. We add number 7 of cervical vertebra. And thoracic vertebra, 12 vertebra, 12 bones, because also they articulating together, not fused. And as the same in lumbar vertebra number 1 will start from number 20 because there is 19 vertebra, 7 in cervical regions and 12 in thoracic regions. So lumbar vertebra number 1 equal vertebra number 20, lumbar vertebra number 2 equal 21, lumbar vertebra number 3 equal 22, and so on. Lumbar vertebra, 5 largest bones articulating together, so they are 5 bones. Okay. 5 sacral vertebra fused together, so they considered 1 bone. 4 coccygeal vertebra fused together, so they considered 1 bone. Now let's study the structure of bony vertebra. The ideal or typical bony vertebra, either thoracic or lumbar, consists of 7 spines. The first one is neural spine. Okay, first one is neural spine. It is posterior process, posterior from behind, from my back. Posterior process that is directed downward, carried by neural canal, carried by neural canal or neural range. Again, neural spine, it is a posterior process directed downward, carried by neural ring. There is 2 processes here. Inferior meaning downward, inferior meaning downward. This one inferior and this one is inferior. Not the blue one, this one which is dark in color. 2 inferior articulating process directed downward and 2 superior articulating process directed upward. Down in inferior articulating process attach with the next vertebra, follow vertebra. Superior articulating process attach with upper vertebra. Okay, and this is 2 transverse process. 2 transverse process attach laterally with sternum. Also, they attach with ribs in thoracic cage and attach with muscles in abdominal cavity. Okay, this is the neural canal, and this is the centrum. The centrum is anterior from my chest cavity. Centrum from my chest cavity, it is anterior thick part. Okay, so the number of processes in bony typical vertebra, 7. Calculate with me. 2 transverse, 2 superior, 2 inferior. This is 6, and 1 neural spine. The number of paired process are 3 pairs, 1 pair of inferior, 2 pair of superior, and 2 pair of transverse. The vertebra articulate with each other. Vertebra articulate with each other through articulating process, inferior or superior. The lower vertebra articulate with the upper one by superior. The lower articulate with the upper by superior articulating process, and the upper articulate with the lower by inferior articulating process. Okay, this is again the structure of vertebra. Spinous process, it is the neural spine, and this is the neural spinal nerves. This is the spinal nerves in neural canal, and this is the superior directed upward superior articulating process. Here is the inferior articulating process directed downward. This is the neural spine directed downward, and this is the superior. Look, this is the superior and this is the inferior. The vertebra articulate with the lower one by inferior, and the lower one articulate with the upper one by superior. So this is the inferior articulate with superior. Inferior of the upper articulate with the superior of the lower. This is the most important point here, to know how vertebrae articulate with each other. Okay. Now we will study the structure of rib cage or thoracic cage. It is the third structure in axial skeleton. Thoracic cage consists of slightly conical. It is the first slightly conical and consists of ribs and sternum. Ribs and sternum. Okay. The rib is curved bone. The bone of rib is curved bone, bind downward and attached posteriorly with the centrum of the bony vertebra and its transverse process. The sternum is anterior flat bone. Sternum is anterior flat bone with pointed cartilaginous ends. So the sternum consists of 2 types of tissue, cartilage and bony. Again, the sternum consists of 2 types of tissue, cartilage and bony. Okay. Sternum attached to the ribs, to the first 10 ribs only. Sternum attached to the first 10 ribs only. Okay. The sternum, okay, attached to the first 10 ribs only. The thoracic cage attached, again, the thoracic cage attached posteriorly with thoracic vertebra. The rib number 1 equal thoracic vertebra number 1. Rib number 1 attached to thoracic vertebra number 1. Rib number 2 attached to thoracic vertebra number 2. Okay. The ribs attached anteriorly with the sternum, but with its flat bone, but only the 10 ribs, 10 pair of ribs attached to the sternum. Okay. The 12 pair of ribs. Let's calculate the 12 pair of ribs and see their names. The first 7 pair of ribs called true ribs because they attach directly with the sternum. Pair number 8, 9, and 10 are called false ribs because they attached with the sternum indirectly by connecting with the pair number 7. They, again, pair number 8, 9, 10 attached with the sternum indirectly by connecting with pair number 7. And the pair number 11 and 12, they don't reach to the sternum. They called floating ribs. Finally, don't forget the function of thoracic cage. Protect the lung, protect the heart, help in respiration because the ribs move out and up during inhalation and move down and close during exhalation. I hope you understand the lesson. See you next time.